So we're here today with Zodidi Gaseb, founder of African Naturals. Thank you so much for making the time to meet with us. So tell us, what does African Naturals do?
It's twofold, right? So African Naturals initially started as a experiment when I cut my hair. And I realized that people needed products that work for ethnic hair, especially here in Namibia since it's dry and arid. But then also in the same vein, I realized there was social construct in terms of stereotyping natural hair, and then a whole range of what people think is acceptable and unacceptable within, I guess, society. So African Naturals is a movement that encourages natural hair, a healthy natural hair through product development, but then also we also host events that encourage people to just embrace themselves as they are.
So what products do you provide?
I make, it's grown now into range. It's going to grow a bit more next year. But one of my best-selling products is shea butter, because we don't have shea butter here in Namibia. So we get our shea butter from a co-op in Ghana. But then also we have hair spritz because it's dry once again. And then also like herbal infused hair growth oil, conditioners, shampoo. So it's literally just hair products, but then that also double as products that you can use for your skin as well.
What does your production look like?
Sure, it's grown now. I'm very fortunate that I was able to have 2 interns that have worked with me for the past few months. And as a result, I was able to really, supply to retailers. Of course, not big retailers as yet. But right now, we can produce quite a steady amount of products for, I would say, between 200 to 500 people. So the whole range. And in my little kitchen. So my whole kitchen is a mess right now. But hopefully next year, I can move into an incubation space and then have my own little factory set up and then produce more, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can go into the European market. So that's my end goal.
I asked because I read that everything is handmade.
Yes.
And it's I cannot even picture how you are making handmade products with 500 people.
Yeah, it does take work. It's like, at the end of the day, it's really passion that really drives us. And like I said, having my interns who are just as passionate about the products and the whole ethos of African Naturals is really what pushes us forward. Of course, sometimes when you get a bit tired, I get some more people just to help out with the labeling and packaging and things like that. But we've paced ourselves. We say every weekend is literally a working weekend. So that's basically what we do.
How did you learn how to make the product?
It's twofold. So the one part, I think it's something I've always known, how to just mix little things together. I've literally, since I was small, I was always making my own stuff and experimenting and trying little concoctions. Some did not work out. But then I love doing research. That's like really one of my favorite things to do. I can spend hours doing research and finding out what natural products, because natural products are not always stable. You have to find out what preservative that is natural that you can use and things like that. So of course the first couple of years were a few hits and misses, but over the time I've done research, I've done some online courses as well, just to learn how to stabilize some of the products. So yeah, that's basically how it all happened.
I'd be very curious if there was something very specific that led you to start African Naturals, because I know you mentioned that you cut your hair. I too cut my hair.
Yeah.
I promise you I have not started a hair business.
Yeah.
So is there something very specific that led to that? And then also, what were you doing before starting African Naturals?
I was just working, regular job, but I've always been a creative. And as a result, I always tried different things. But what actually pushed me to start African Naturals was my kids. So my daughter, Nothing against weaves and wigs. Let's just put the disclaimer out there. But my daughter was actually my inspiration because she's gorgeous, she has beautiful hair, and she really wanted to change who she was because of society. And I was not helping because I was wearing weaves and telling her she's beautiful. And I realized that actually I have a bigger job to do than just talk about accepting yourself. I actually have to live it. So when I started, I cut my hair because of my daughter, and she was like, "Oh, you cut your hair, okay, that's cool." But then going into local shops here, realizing that there aren't products for my hair because I struggled for the first 2 years to really find things that would work for my ethnic hair, and especially for this environment. And then one day a friend of mine from the Ivory Coast brought me like a little tub of shea butter, and she's like, "Oh, you should try this for your hair." And she had gorgeous hair, so I was like, "Okay, let me try it." I was like, "Oh, what? There's this thing?" And it really just started from there. And I was like, "Okay, let me just bring this in and see if other people would like it." And I realized that the health benefits of it were also amazing, and I became more conscious of what I put in and on my body. So that's basically how African Naturals grew.
Let's talk about the hair consultations because we've talked about the product. How does that work?
It's a very in-depth analysis. So I like to do one-on-one consultations because everyone is different, genetics and diet and all of those kind of things. So we really sit down and we first you take me through a rundown of your hair regimen, if you have one, and then we go through like hair porosity tests to test how your hair absorbs water, the level of absorption that your hair does. And then also we take a look at your hair texture. So there's a lot of little factors that come into play. It becomes a bit more scientific, but it's something that I really enjoy doing. And then we go through that whole process, and then I draft up a hair regimen to suit you specifically that people have to follow. I've had people like, I didn't follow, and then they come back and then they follow it. And then after 6 weeks, then we do a reevaluation to see if anything has changed. But then it's a very holistic approach. Also, I look at your diet, stress factors, your health, and just your emotional well-being, because those things do play a role in your overall health. Yeah.
Is this again something that you learned just from research?
It's always a bit tricky because I think everyone has an innate ability for certain things. And I've always been that person in my group of friends. They'd come like, "Oh, I have a cough, what do I do?" And I always would veer towards natural healing methods. So it's always been an innate thing. But of course, through learning and research, and then of course, I've been doing this for like 7 years now. So it does come more naturally. Yeah.
So how can someone get, for example, a hair consultation or your products? Do you have a physical location?
Right now, we just at my place. But then also, like if people are not in the country, we also have online consultations. Of course, it's a bit trickier to then do porosity tests because you need like a physical test for that. But then I ask them to then do it on the other side, wherever they are. So people can just contact me, and then we just set up an appointment and meet, and then we take it from there. It really doesn't matter where it is, as long as you're comfortable. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the events. There's Afrofuture and there's Natural Hair and Beauty Expo, right?
Yeah.
How did you set that up and why?
Yeah, I mean, literally, like I said, it would be nice to just make products and make money, but then at the end of the day, I think there's a bigger purpose. And if I get the opportunity to impact people's lives in little ways, then definitely that is my first goal. So with the events, I mean, I really believe also in the power of networking and, connecting with different people. So when I cut my hair, I posted on Facebook and was this fluffy little afro, and people were like, "Okay, so what now? What are you going to do?" So people started engaging, and I realized that more people were just at home struggling with their hair. So I was like, okay, why don't we all just get together and share tips and whatever it is, how we can learn from each other. And that's literally where it grew. So in the past, I had smaller events, we would get together, maybe a group of like 40 to 50 women, some men and kids as well. We would get together and then just exchange. And a few years forward, a good friend of mine was writing a book on hair care. So she also has her own products and things like that. And she's like, Zoe, I want to launch my book. Can you help me to just get people together? I was like, oh, why don't we make it bigger? And then we thought that there must be other people making products as well who also want a platform. And that's where the Natural and Beauty Expo was born. And I partnered with, was amazing because all the women I partnered with were from different countries in Africa. Although they all lived here, it was really just nice to just get different perspectives and learnings and things like that. And then we hosted that for about 4 years. And it was really challenging in terms of getting corporate Namibia to understand the idea and why we're doing it. Because we had to ask for sponsorships and things like that. And then also remaining true to ourselves. So at some point we got really exhausted. So we're like, okay, let's just park this for now, because life also took over. And beginning of this year, I had so many inquiries about, when is the Natural Hair and Beauty Expo taking place? And I was like, okay, let's do something. People still need a space to gather and exchange, and entrepreneurs still want to, showcase their products and things like that. So I was like, okay, let me just go out with a bang and have the Afrofuture Festival, which happened this past weekend. So that was really fantastic. And it's my last event.
Your last event?
Yeah, of that, like an expo type of thing. I mean, I will still participate, but to host a space like that, I think it's time for other people, younger people to do that. Yeah, I'm really old.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a conversation earlier, and you were saying to me that you also have a day job, right?
Yeah.
So what do you do when you're not African Naturals? And how do you balance both? Because I don't know how it would work. Where do you find the time of day?
I don't know. I ask myself that question every now and then. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? But generally, it's my day job. I do events management and marketing at the university, one of the university, NAST. And we work specifically with entrepreneurs and innovators. And I think that actually, whenever I'm like, that fuels me, whenever an entrepreneur comes and they're like, oh, thanks to you guys, we're able to do this and we're able to scale. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'm in the right place, So I'm passionate about that. So in terms of the balance, I think it's a constant decision every day. Because I'm a mom to two teenagers as well, so that's hectic. But really, to try and balance everything, I do also set boundaries, and little things that I incorporate: self-care, self-love. I'll be like, okay, guys, this weekend we're not doing anything, and then we just rest, because you need that balance in order to be your best, basically. So yeah, it's a day-by-day thing. It doesn't come easy, but I'm really also thankful with the support that I have. And people are so cool. They will, if I'm really exhausted, I'll tell my customers, I'm like, guys, today is not it. I'm like, no, it's fine, so you understand. Like, we'll come tomorrow, or when must we come? So that always works out really well for me. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
How did you fund everything when you started?
Thankfully, I have a job. So everything literally feeds the other, so to speak. So I am 100% self-funded. And only recently I was able to be part of the Namibia Cosmetics Association, which was launched, I think, end of 2017. And with that came really great opportunities as well. So like last year, December, we went to Egypt for the Inter-Africa Trade Fair, and it was great to meet with other African countries and trade. So really, we get support from that in terms of traveling to expos and really getting the exposure. But generally, self-funded. So yeah, I'll take my savings and I'm like, oh, no holiday this year. Put it there. But yeah, I mean, it's because I'm passionate about it that I'm able to do that. And yeah.
What would be your advice to young Namibians today?
Wow, in which capacity? There's a lot I can tell.
Maybe someone who wants to start a business, does not know how to do it, but is really passionate about it, and is also juggling life, work, kids, and so on.
The first thing I would say is your idea is definitely valid. We have like a lot of entrepreneurs that will sit on ideas for 2-3 years. And I think what I always tell them is like, just start. It doesn't have to be perfect. Like just start, just get out. Like if you saw my packaging, my first packaging, sometimes I look at it, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? It was horrible. But just start and just keep pushing, you know, because when you wait for things to be perfect, you could lose out on so much, like time and resources, and your passion can start dwindling and things like that. So really just start. And then also do a ton of research before you start. Like I've had to do research as I go along, of course, as with any other business. But there's a few things I wish I'd known sooner, because I would just dive and then I'm like, crap, okay, I have to kind of go back. And then also there's a ton of free resources online. Don't feel pressure to have the .com website, you know, when there's free things on the internet that you can really utilize for your business. And then also something that has really, really helped me a lot this year, get a mentor. Like mentors can change so much in your business and really propel you to the next level. So get a mentor and get help. You can't do everything yourself. Yeah, that's what I would say.